Let me give you an argument against swearing, which I think is compelling, but it's one that I don't want to believe.
Okay.
Because I enjoy swearing.
How would you define swearing?
So I would like to distinguish between blasphemy,
yes,
vulgarity, perhaps, swearing, I suppose, potty language or the F word, things like that, when they aren't used in a sexualized way.
Right.
But I think even that needs to go. And I'm saying this as somebody who swears more than everybody listening to me right now.
Okay.
But I'm trying very hard not to. And I know that outing myself in this way is only going to come back to bite me when I swear on the next episode or in the next 5 minutes. But I welcome it. It's something in my life that I'd like to get rid of.
Right.
Right. So here's the argument, and you tell me what you think. All right. So I think that most swearing, and I've shared this on the show before, so apologies if you've heard it or if those watching are bored by it.
I've heard you do it once. Let's hear it again.
And you feel free to interject and interrupt and pick at it or make it better, because I actually like to keep swearing. So you can help me keep swearing if you can take this apart. So I think that most of our swear words revolve around three things: the bedroom, the toilet, or religion.
That's fair. Yep.
We've all got a Rolodex of awful words filing through our brains right now. There might be some that aren't that way. Okay. These seem to be the places that human beings are most vulnerable, which I find interesting.
Right.
Religion, the bedroom, and the bathroom. Okay. Let's just put aside religion.
Okay.
Since I think we should agree that blasphemy is intrinsically evil. So let's talk about the bedroom and the bathroom. Okay. When you examine human beings, you see that they institute rituals of a sort that elevate these experiences that we share with the beasts. So beasts copulate and defecate. Okay. We're not like that. We're rational animals. And so the way we do those things, when you examine human beings, differs. If you came over to my house after this and I allowed my 10-year-old to defecate in the backyard while you and I were there, this isn't good. This isn't healthy. You would have serious questions about my mental well-being or what I'm like. If you encounter someone fornicating in the middle of the street or at a club, this also is something that's deviant and reprehensible. So rather, we go into rooms, we shut doors, we even put the fan on so that we can urinate without being heard next door where the kitchen is, okay? All right. When we swear, we're verbally tearing down those barriers that we seek to erect around those activities to elevate us from the beast. Right. That's the basic idea, that we're verbally tearing away at that. And someone might say, okay, fair enough, but when I say S-H-I-T or F-U, etc., when I say these words, I'm not actually using them in a sexual way. But I think the response to that is, and yet they still mean the things that you know them to mean. Maybe in 1,000 years, the F word won't mean that anymore. And just the word gay doesn't really mean happy today. Okay, and at that point, we could perhaps use that word. But today is not that day. It still means that. And when you couple with that St. James's advice in the Bible about guarding the tongue, again, why would I flirt with something that I'm even unsure is moral or immoral? Why wouldn't I seek to be pure in my speech? All right, so I'll put that to one side and then say, I think what I enjoy about swearing and what I enjoy, like if you and I were to get in a conversation, you would just start letting it fly. Like I'd enjoy it. I like it. And I think I like it because it signals to me that you are not on guard. That you're actually
being candid.
Yeah, you're being very candid. And I really appreciate that. So I actually like it when people swear around me. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. And yet I still think that argument holds. What's wrong with it? Why should we swear, Jonathan?
Actually, I would make a couple of distinctions. I agree with pretty much everything that you said. On the F word, the only question I would have is, did you read Gail Dine's book, Pornland?
Unfortunately, I read excerpts of it.
Yeah, same. And then Louise Perry has a book that came out last year.
And I only say unfortunately because there were some things there that I didn't want to know. I would not recommend the book.
No, I read it so that other people wouldn't have to read it, but I only got a little ways into some chapters. I don't need to go all the way down to the sewer to know that it's the same stuff down there.
Yeah.
But they, and Louise Perry in her book, The Case Against the Sexual Revolution, both of them use the F word as an actual, literal, descriptive term
I see.
of what a certain form of sexual activity is.
Okay.
That it's, because it's crude and degraded and predatory, that the F word is the best word to describe what's going on.
I see.
As opposed to sex. So I would agree with you using it in casual and colloquial terms. Yeah, 100%. I can't come up with I can't and I wouldn't come up with any good argument against it, because it does seem also to be, it's being crude about one of God's gifts. But then from when I read it in those two books, they weren't using it as an expletive or a swear word. Like, it was literally used as I could quote a sentence, but I won't.
Yeah.
But like, I remember getting through to the end of one of Louise Perry's chapters and then her describing something that often happened after nightclubs.
Yep.
And like, when the word used, it punched.
Yep.
It was like,
no, I get
and
that.
it was
I
used
agree
in
with that.
context,
Yep.
but I didn't feel like that was offensive. And if one of my kids as a teenager wanted to read that book to educate themselves, I wouldn't feel like the need to warn them or black it out. Like, I felt it worked there.
Yeah, I think usually you keep going.
Honestly, I've never considered shit to be a swear word.
Right.
And like, I grew up in farm country where like it would be said like, oh no, we're gonna go out and spread shit now. Like, it was literally used
And
as
I grew
that
up in
term.
Australia. My wife, when we were dating, visited Australia. She said to me after one conversation with my dear, beautiful mother, Debbie, who I love, I have not heard this many swear words ever. Like, I accidentally taught my wife some swear words that she had never heard before.
I found the Irish were like that too when I was on speaking tour there. So I recognize that there's plenty of people who find that word to be a swear word, and I like. As somebody once told me, it's not that I think it's bad. I just think it makes you sound uneducated. And so I if I find out it bothers somebody, I will definitely avoid it.
Yeah.
But I don't feel bad about saying it.
My wife and I were away on a trip recently, and she encountered somebody and said, "Oh, the restaurant's over there," or something. And the woman just like dropped sh just as if it was like that. It just came out like it was normal. And
like exactly like that.
And my wife, and I think she was from Quebec. And
amazing noise.
I think my wife is like, why would you assume that you can just meet me and say this word? I think it is illustrative of the baseness of our culture that we've begun to speak like this just among people that we've never met before.
And around ladies. And there's a lot of standards that should have stayed up. But do you notice that when you're talking with guys will often kind of feel each other out to find out which words they can use?
They'd feel each other, not up.
I said out.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that people heard you.
Everybody heard that properly.
Guys, get together.
But they'll kind of see how the other person talks and stuff like that to make sure that, nothing they say will be offensive.
Yeah. And I'm not, to reiterate, I'm not offended by it. I like it very much. Yeah. I just think that this is
your argument
something
is very
in my life
stable. Yeah.
I would like, and this doesn't originate by me, I should point out. This was a friend of mine shared this with me several years ago. But I just, I'd like to get better at it. I'd like to, this is an area in my life I'd like to get better at. So it's like to be able to point at the culture and say, look how decadent it's becoming while I drop F-bombs and S-words. It's like, yeah.
I thought that blasphemy has gotten a lot more common in Christian communities too, and I think it's because of the entertainment. Like, oh my G, like as you hear it a lot more often. Like if I ever said that at home growing up, I would have gotten beat.
Well, I like your point earlier about when you heard Peterson saying that word. It's difficult sometimes to discern whether or not something's blasphemous or a prayer, because sometimes you hear something so horrific that you just go, oh God.
Yeah, the example I always think is when I first watched the footage of like the 9/11, like when people were jumping and you'd hear people saying, oh my, like it didn't seem like a swear, but I'm so, as the way I was brought up, I'm just very instinctively uncomfortable with any improper usage of it at all. Like it's a name. That's why like Jewish people have a dash between the G and the D. So you pause and you think, right, about the holy name. So yeah, that I think also is sort of the one everybody can agree on.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Would you like this beautiful, very high quality, definitely not made in China, not that there's anything wrong with that, Pints with Aquinas beer stein for free, sent to your door? Would you also like a copy of The Jill sent to your door 4 times a year? This is the Pints with Aquinas newspaper, by the way. If you do, go to mattfradd.locals.com and become an annual supporter for any amount. We'll send you that stuff for free, and you get a bunch of other free things in return. You'll get more information by going over to mattfradd.locals.com. Thanks.